Welcome. I'm the Conspiracy Man. In this series, we'll be blowing the lid off many of the world's biggest conspiracies that the man doesn't want you to know about. With a general election coming up in the UK, let's look at conspiracies floating around the European Union and Britain. Last year we had the Brexit vote, where a referendum was held in Britain on whether to leave the European Union, and they voted to leave. The vote also led to the resignation of Prime Minister David Cameron. Back in 2014, we had another referendum on whether Scotland might want independence from the UK. The Scottish voted to remain in the United Kingdom. These votes had many similarities, since both votes were on remaining or leaving. Though splitting from a multi-party body like the EU is very different to leaving an actual country. In both campaigns, the Remain groups said that voting to leave the EU/United Kingdom would result in economic disaster and companies would leave in droves. Which is ironic since many of the people who supported Brexit were against Scottish independence and vice versa, which meant they were making opposite arguments on these two votes. Normally it's hard to prove these one-world government conspiracies, as no one involved will admit it. But with the European Union, they are happy to admit the end goal is to create a pan-European nation. Various European leaders and EU heads have talked about closer and closer integration. In 2014, then Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi talked about moving towards a United States of Europe, which is funny since he also had to resign after losing a referendum. The European Union won the Nobel Prize in 2012 for preventing war and promoting democracy. One of the supposed benefits of the EU is that bringing different European nations together under one banner stops conflicts. Except that the idea of joining states with people of differing cultures and languages didn't work out so well for Yugoslavia. And also the fact that many of the wars in the post-World War II era have been civil wars. So we've had Brexit, with the possibility of Grexit, Frexit, and Nexit. In fact, the only reason Italy hasn't left the EU already is because they can't get a good portmanteau of Italy and exit. Itexit? Just doesn't work. Eventually we could get Swexit, Bexit, Spexit, and my favorite, Fixit. Eventually the EU will just be Germany. Regarding the Brexit vote, England voted to leave, but Scotland voted to stay in the EU, which meant many Scots wanted their independence and then wanted to sign up to a multi-state organization where they would lose some of their rights to make their own policy and economic decisions. But is it any wonder Britain voted to leave the EU? They are a proud nation with a glorious empire that they no longer have, and they value their independence to follow whatever their elected leader, i.e. the American president, wants. The Brexit vote result has led to a renewed push for another Scotland independence referendum, because they think because the Scots wanting to stay in the EU might be enough to push them over the line. But forget Scotland leaving the UK. Someone else is looking to leave. Is it Northern Ireland? No. Wales? No. Jersey or Guernsey? No. The Isle of Man? No. Cornwall? No. England is planning to get independence. You heard it here first. If Theresa May wins re-election, expect an announcement in the next few years of a referendum. Although it might seem weird for England to leave the United Kingdom, the English have always had an independent streak, as shown by their Brexit vote, and this way they can throw off the yoke of the oppressive Welsh, Scots, and Irish. It would also be a great FU to the Scottish for threatening to leave. And finally, the English can get rid of the Queen of Scotland, Elizabeth Windsor, and finally get one of their own as head of state. English independence would have little impact on sport, since in many sports such as soccer, they already compete as individual teams. It's really only the Olympics and a few other sports such as tennis where they compete together as a United Kingdom. And in tennis, that would mean that Scot Andy Murray would not be representing the English anymore, which would give the English the benefit of no longer having to cheer him on at Wimbledon. Provided I am not taken out by the powers that be, I shall return, if I can be bothered. What shocking conspiracy will I be unbuttoning? Well, let me just say, My name is Bond. Comrade Bond. Scared? You should be.